Have you ever listened to a person talk for less than a minute and known you weren't going to get along with that person? What did they say?
Before we begin with the first story, please hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell to stay updated with us.
Number 20. New guy at work. First coffee break he started complaining about his ex who had full custody of the kids for some unknowable reason, also how he'd like to slap her throat with a rusty knife. Nice to meet you too, don't think I'll be taking breaks with you.
Number 19. Started at a new job, went for a team dinner, and the very first thing he did was talk about how bad the dating scene was in the city and how ugly all the women are. Dating scene was absolutely fine, by the way. I pull out of the conversation and then he just continues to ramble on about how smart he is versus everyone else. Safe to say I've been avoiding him since.
Number 18. Oh, you're a Scorpio? I can definitely tell because the girl only knew me for 5 minutes when she said that. It was a group project. I was forced to get along with her for the better part of a semester. This was in an astronomy class.
Number 17. Yes, this guy hopped into our Discord group a few months back. He was a friend of a friend, but he didn't think to just add him to our server, not our group chat. We all hop into a call and first thing he does is make some remarks that are very politically sensitive, send some graphic photos and made some inappropriate remarks. Didn't expect to meet someone and have him offend 6 people in the span of 10 minutes.
Are you sure you're not just jealous of his efficiency and multitasking skills?
Number 16. I knew I wasn't gonna like her based on her actions on her first day at work. We work with dogs at a daycare and boarding place. In the morning, during feedings, one of the first things she tried to do was get meds from the med cabinet. I tell her no, that's front desk, they handle medication. She just kinda nods. In my head, I'm like, not sure why you are trying to pass out meds without anyone explaining anything to you, but okay, let's move on. A few days go by, then one day, she asks if she's supposed to clean the water bowls we have in the dog's suites overnight. She was already told how to clean suites, which involves cleaning the bowls every morning. I just say yes. She also asked me if she should clean the park water bowl after a dog peed in it. I again say yes. She still works here, but no one likes her since she likes to pretend she knows what she's doing, then asks questions that can be answered by having basic common sense and problem-solving skills.
Number 15. I used to play the drums and jump around in different bands to find one that fit. One guitarist, and I'll never forget it, said, "I don't know what it is, but black women's pussy smells so bad." It also came out of nowhere since we were talking about music during practice. I never saw him again. I also apologize for having to repeat it.
Number 14. I know I'm not supposed to ask, but I need to know. It's not for work or anything. What religion are you? HR manager.
Reply: Can you send me that in an email?
Number 13. He learned I'm a physicist and immediately started talking about infinite energy.
Add multiple conspiracy theories about how academia is censoring the real science, and you have my former friend.
Number 12. Meet your teacher day before my kiddo started kindergarten, and this other parent literally bragged that her kid was completely illiterate, couldn't stand being read to, and she hated reading too. Reply: As a teacher, I can tell you who my least favorite parents are every year on day 1. It's not the conservative parents or liberal parents. It's not the Christians or the pagans. It's the parents who tell me they don't read/hate to read. One of the go-to questions I ask during the get-to-know-you time is if they've read anything interesting over the summer. I get parents who tell me about fun beach reads or news articles. Some have read frou-frou hippie mindfulness parenting books or spiritual self-help books. All those parents are just fine. The ones who say, "I don't like to read," are always the hardest parents to work with. Their kids don't do homework. They look down on the academic concepts I'm trying to teach. They roll their eyes at parent meetings when I talk about the importance of experiential education or involved learning. The crossover between kids who don't take school seriously and kids with a parent who tells me they don't read or hate reading is nearly an identical group of kids. Shockingly, the kids who grow up in homes that hate literacy are difficult students to teach.
Number 11. I hate that our boss is a chick. Bitches make the worst bosses. Lunch break of his first day on the job.
Number 10. She showed up to a little get-together and the person who invited her said that they would be taking bets on who could sit with her for more than 30 minutes. $10 per person, the winner kept the pot. I assumed they were just being rude and planned to tell her of her friend's plans as soon as she showed up. She walked in, looked at me and scoffed, and asked if the gray car outside belonged to me. I said yes. She told me that with the money that car cost, I could have bought something nicer. Okay, well, whatever. I went to get a drink and sat to watch the crowd gather around her. I already didn't like her, but she went on to tell everyone about how she could never date someone who had a crappy credit score or couldn't pay their vehicle off after buying it, someone who wanted to quit the contest and asked for a cigarette. She opened up her purse and showed everyone a fresh pack of smokes and then told everyone why she doesn't smoke and why anyone who asks for a cigarette is either too broke to buy them or doesn't plan ahead of times. The guy asked her for one of her cigarettes. She said no and put them back in her purse. She talked about all the cars she bought. Basically, her parents would co-sign for her and pay the car off to build her credit, and she would give them a few thousand to pay them back. She was nuts and wouldn't stop talking. I disliked her but was also fascinated with her. She was super weird. Update: so I have gotten a few questions about this girl and that night. Also, who is Gina? There were something like 15 to 20 people there and most entered the contest. I think the pot got up to $100 to $120. The winner was just some guy who I didn't know. He spent the money getting everyone McDonald's and beer, so he was pretty cool. She was about 22 to 23. She had just finished getting her high school diploma because she had dropped out to make money, according to her. I think she sold some milkshake things and fitness plans with some MLM. For those wondering what happened to her, I'm not 100% what happened to her. She wasn't my friend, but she did show up to a few parties I was at and she seemed calmer. She used to bring her own bottle of liquor and wouldn't share, which was kind of funny because on one occasion they caught her filling her bottle with a bottle of Jack that someone had brought and left on the kitchen counter. But she swore that all she drank was Hennessy and Fireball.
Number 9. Literally, last night, was at a local pool comp and went to introduce myself to my second round opponent. We shake hands and his first words to me are, "Weak f***ing handshake, bro." Followed by, "I hope you like banter, mate." And then proceeded to talk shit about every aspect of my game. The worst part was he was actually good at pools, so it just seems like he was generally a c***. Some of his other opponents got it a lot worse than I did as well. Highlight of the night was when the comp host basically yelled in his face, "Everyone in this room f***ing hates you," which received a round of applause. He didn't seem to understand why that was. Just banter, bro. Edit: the comp is 90% regulars that are there every week. This was the guy's first time playing there. He knew no one except for the couple of mates he brought. I can assure people calling me a liar that he was universally hated. He ended up losing the final, which received more of a response than the host yelling at him, but yeah, lol. I don't even know why I'm responding to this. I guess I have never had this much attention on anything I have ever shared on the internet.
Number 8. I met one of my new colleagues at a barbecue that was being hosted by our work. I, a man, drove with another coworker, a woman and a friend of mine, so we arrived together. When I was alone for a moment, this guy, whom I'd never spoken to before, comes up next to me and says, "Yo dude, you hitting that?" Gestures to my friend. I said, "No, and she also has a boyfriend." He very exaggeratedly says, "Damn, yada yada." He got fired 2 years later for sexually harassing an intern.
Number 7. They talk negatively about someone else in a very judgy way. There was this mom in my daughter's school who seemed to know everyone, she talked to me, and she spoke so badly about these people. Then moments later I saw her interacting in a friendly way with those she was judging. My eyes rolled so much I could see my brain telling me not to get involved with her. And I was right, because by the time the school year ended, her friends hated her and they were talking behind her back too.
Number 6. I was in a job interview once and the manager cut me off mid-sentence to jump to a weird conclusion. Him. What do you think the performance of this algorithm would be? Me. Oh, it'll be in time. Oh, you think it's going to be in? You think it'll be in? That's ridiculous. There's no way it would just be in. Me. You gotta let me finish speaking. He then cut me off mid-sentence twice more during our conversation. We didn't get along. Dude was a total tool.
Number 5. I was listening to the Nexiv podcast and the clip of the founder saying he has a 225 IQ. If I walked into a room and heard someone say that, I'd walk right back out.
I used to brag about my IQ score. It was off of a free internet test. I was 14. I learned better.
Number 4. Parent of one of my kids' friends at school said there was a mouse in their house and his wife wanted him to kill it, but he didn't want to kill any creatures, he wanted to make friends with them instead. But his wife insisted, so he threw his shoe at it and eventually managed to hit it, but it wasn't dead, so he threw his shoe at it another 4 times. It still wasn't dead, so he poured boiling water over it to kill it. It still didn't die, so he poured boiling water over it again. It still wasn't dead, so he decided to leave it alone in the hopes that it would peacefully pass away. The logic of being too squeamish to kill something, and instead deciding to torture it to death slowly in the most agonizingly painful way, absolutely blew my mind.
Number 3. Years ago, me and my ex-husband went to see a movie with an older colleague of his. Before the movie we had dinner at like a chain restaurant/steakhouse type place. The staff on the floor was all 20-ish. I never met this man before, but in the first few minutes of sitting down and looking at the menu he very confidently told us how he came there a lot and flirted with the female staff because they love the attention. The best part? His daughter worked there. All I could think was how I would literally cringe myself through the floor if I was 20 and my 50-years-old dad came into my place of work and perved on my coworkers because he didn't understand that they only put up with him 'cause they are paid to do so.
Number 2. New guy at work. Super fake by being overly excited and super overly comfortable with everyone in the first minute. He's all mommy this and poppy that to everyone and very overly touchy. We were almost all Hispanics there and everyone was uncomfortable. First phone call of the day, he hangs up cursing and taking it super personally that someone hung up on him, a daily occurrence in customer service. After about 6 months, I put in my 2 weeks notice solely because I couldn't work next to or with him anymore. He would also get overly gossipy and personal. My boss rejected my notice and transferred him. He couldn't stand the guy either. No one could.
Number 1. New guy started at my job. We were outside smoking on first break. Keep in mind I have never met nor spoken to this dude in my life. He walks up, lights up his cigarette and says, "You know, I think my severe arachnophobia has transformed into an arachnophilia. I've been watching a lot of spider hentai while masturbating." Then he began to describe his new waifu pillow he bought, her name and his plans to marry her. I was speechless. Edit. I work in a distribution warehouse for a clothing company. We were forklift drivers. He didn't last very long, but not because of things he said. He was constantly late for work, and twice a week he'd show up in Crocs, knowing damn well I've told him 100 times he needs closed-toe shoes. I'd have to send him home to change shoes. I told him just keep a pair of shoes in his car so he has something to wear at work. Didn't work, and eventually I had to let him go for excessive tardiness and absenteeism.
Thank you for watching. If you like to watch more of these videos, please leave a thumbs up, comments, subscribe. And don't forget to share to your friends and family. I'll see you in the next video.